All right, all right. Coming in with this one right here. You got a whole thing though right here coming into this. You got the Lethal, Bizzle, Dapper, Dan Remix, Backroad G, Shasimone, Rob, Marley. You got a whole thing right here though. But you got with just the Lethal Bizzle, especially with the whole thing coming into this one. You got the Dapper Dan remix. So I'm guessing you got something Dapper Dan, especially with Backroad G. You got Backroad G on this one. Me actually seeing him and he, Lethal Bizzle, and then you got Shasimone, Rob, Marley. So you just got a whole thing coming into this one right here, especially with the deeper Dan remix, especially with Backroad G and just Shasimone, Rob, Marley, and everything else. So especially with this one, you got the Dapper Dan remix, especially with everything else coming into it and everything else. Especially how this one comes into it and everything else. But with this whole confronts.
Yo, lethal, let me tell you something about people. Bad mind, them a bad mind, pure evil. Want see you pop down, lock down, shut down.
Yo, lethal. You say man's back for the sequel.
You ain't heard of me. What man think they can murder me? Underground, but don't think man won't rise up.
Of course I murder you.
RDM man murder beats. The same way bad man were the streets. Like Chip, I won't run out of bars, I'll cut the
Murder you.
RDM man murder beats. The same way bad man were the streets. Like Chip, I won't run out.
Ooh, just like the same way, he was wearing the streets. Hey, just like you. Hey, like said, him on the way, and him having this whole thing. Him how he murdered the beats too. He's murdering beats. How he, especially how the whole influence, like especially how everything else is taking a spot too. Taking etc.
Out of bars, I'll cut down a killer MC like I'm doing up surgery. Man can't style on me, style on ooh, making moves. Not many man, just ones and twos. Man can't ride in the rhythm like blue, come blacked out like Night Rider. Hide anywhere, man, I still find ya. Even
Ooh, come blacked out just like a night. Ooh, come blacked out just like a night rider. Ooh, that one right there was ooh.
in the dark with no torch, I come for your chest, come for your head top like I'm a trained sniper.
Yo, you ain't outside, you ain't a swinger. Old school biz, look you down in a dinger. You got caught with food, you done 6 months, that boy is a singer. 6 nights bedroom. I'ma go in this thing, nobody can't tell me nothing. Ain't saying nada. I got the youngest, got caught with food, you done 6 months, that boy is a singer. 6 nights bedroom. I'ma go in this thing, nobody can't tell me nothing. Ain't saying nada. I got the youngest local G and they ain't bluffing. Allow it. The powers will be respected, so your little plan that got intercepted. The cool reunion that got neglected, top boy and I'm top.
Oh, that COVID stuff, it got neglected, especially how everything else, especially how the whole, these guys are just roaming through, like, they roaming through, like, they coming in different, part of suggestions and everything else, like, they coming through all type of, suggestions, especially him, he just cooped out of nowhere, he just put it out like it was nothing, and then, mainly how the whole thing is, already coming, how it's for Steffenting and everything else. Like it's just phenomenal to see this whole thing how it is. How everyone else, rumbles through.
Top 3 selected, top one. 20 years in here, line still fresh as peak. Uche. You man can't make no big song unless I'm on the beat.
I spent nights up in that trap, I spent days up on that strip. When I had to run me a waist, I had to sleep close to that shit. And they don't wanna hear about that, they wanna hear about trap. I spent days up on that strip. When I had to run me a waist, I had to sleep close to that shit. And they don't wanna hear about that, they wanna hear about rollers on wrist. I spent nights up in that trap, I spent days up on that strip. When I had to run.
Oh, I spent nights up in that trap. I spent days without of that. Without of that thing, gotta keep that whole everything else, especially how this whole thing's coming, like, especially how the whole thing, it's just for Luvino, especially his whole thing and his whole thing, just everything else it all blanks, like it's just blank, like they all got a blank of everything else, especially how everything else is, Economic and delusional.
Up in that trap, I spent days up on that shit. Man, I had to run me a waist. I had to sleep close to that shit. And they don't wanna hear about that. They wanna hear about rollers on wrist. They wanna hear about how much I made in the trap. Nigga, I'm fucking your bitch. Bottle of that, bringing it back. I'ma make it snap. Niggas wanna talk about that, but they don't even walk with that. Back in the other day, had a little baby take me that. I'd save up some cash to get me running down.
Yo, things weren't always this pretty. Came from a place where it's hush when things get sticky. Tuck that blicky. I'm a real life bad girl.
Ooh, came from places where it got ooh.
Things weren't always this pretty. Came from a place where it's hush when things get sticky. Tuck that blicky. I'm a real life bad girl.
Oh, she a real life bad girl too. Hey, she a real life bad girl with this whole thing. But hey, he said, no, she said, the whole thing, I'm a real life sticky. I come from a place where it gets sticky. I'm talking about that blicky. Ooh, and I didn't even know it was a whole female on this. So, this one hit me with a surprise, like a surprise and everything else, especially how this one, it's already emotional coming. Like, they all coming in division lines. Like, I didn't even know the whole thing was based on like this, Every single one of them, they all have like a deluxe soul thing because they all coming in all type of division lines. Like hey, but she said, yeah, I like her static, the way the static's already hitting the first part.
Things get sticky, tuck that blicky. I'm a real life bad girl, I ain't gotta do it for the gram, no IG. Got a temper and it ain't tiny. If I say what I think, man, they do me like Wiley.
Ooh, and I got a temper, and it ain't tiny. Ooh, and I'm a real bad girl, I like that one right there. It ain't no, hey, they don't gotta be no Insta, cause I'm bad, without the Insta. Like they say, these females don't even need Insta, all these filters and stuff, check them out in real life, they as bad as you think they would be.
For the gram, no IG. Got a temper and it ain't tiny. If I say what I think, man, they do me like Wiley. All this fake love, it don't surprise me. All about time and I gotta win. I've seen what you've seen in your whole career in a year and I'm still on the come up. Making love to the money, I'm passionate, counting it raw, I ain't using a rubber. Swear I'm a mother. Evidence on my iPhone, I could really FaceTime. Best snakes, I roll my K9s. Hit a lick and I did it in the daytime. We been uptown with them super drugs that will knock you out your boots. There's only one simmer, they ain't like me. Don't be arsing up who's who. I'm that S to the I. I just slice of the beat like Kimbo. Need a pockets always heavy like Lizzo. I was on tag 3 years ago, now they hear me on the radio. Kimbo.
Ooh, she really let it know. Hey, she let it be deep, loud. Like, hey, she putting it on. Like, hey, she was the part of this mix too, this last mix. So she really put the whole song on. Like she just said, ain't no speaking, ain't none of that. She just resounded it.
I'm that S to the I. I just slice of the beat like Kimbo. Need a pockets always heavy like Lizzo. I was on tag 3 years ago, now they hear me on the radio.
Man, hey, come on. She didn't set it off, but I didn't even know this whole thing was like this. Like, especially with the whole thing, the lyricity and everything else. But especially with this whole thing right here, make sure you guys definitely go check this one out. Especially with the whole thing. You know how these go and everything else. But how I'm seeing and everything else, you got the Dapper then remix. Especially how they remixed that in the first part, because it was a little TikTok. It was a TikTok. And it's crazy about that. They didn't made it to a song. So that right there was actually beautiful, because a lot of these songs come from TikTok and then they switch it into a bass line of a song. So, this was the G mix right here. But make sure you guys definitely like, comment, subscribe, everything else. And everything with this one right here, you just got with this one right coming into this one.